Squaddies, listen, because this situation has escalated into something far louder, far more chaotic, and far more unnecessary than it ever needed to be. And the most frustrating part is that it was entirely predictable. Harry and Meghan are once again being dragged into a media wildfire that they did not create, did not pour gasoline on, and did not even benefit from. They are being swept into a narrative they didn't shape, surrounded by headlines they didn't ask for, and pulled into the orbit of people who understand publicity in a way that is dangerously incompatible with the Sussex's brand. And the truth is, they were warned, repeatedly. The Sussex squad has been saying for years, literally years, that aligning too closely with the Kardashian media ecosystem is asking for trouble. Not because of personal dislike, not because of envy or judgment, but because the Kardashians operate a publicity machine that thrives on spectacle, thrives on controversy, thrives on viral narratives, and anyone who walks into that ecosystem becomes a tool in its machinery, whether they realize it or not. Now we are watching the exact scenario that everyone predicted unfold beat for beat, and it is almost maddening to see it happening in slow motion. The photo situation is the perfect example of how quickly things spiral when Harry and Meghan find themselves entangled in someone else's media strategy. Reports are everywhere. Tabloids, gossip sites, social platforms, claiming the Sussexes were cheerful, relaxed, fully engaged, posing for pictures with Kim, Chris, and the entire Calabasas media dynasty. Meghan supposedly approved the photos that night, but overnight the tone shifted dramatically. And why? Because the timing, once examined under the harsh light of reality, was not just off. It was disastrous. This wasn't just any night. This was Remembrance Day, a day that defines Harry's personal and professional identity, a day tied to his military service, his trauma, his advocacy for veterans, a day the tabloids scrutinize every year to weaponize against him. And suddenly, bright flashing party images from a billionaire birthday bash were circulating online. Of course, there was panic. Of course, the request came to remove the photos. But the truth about optics is this. Once the narrative is out, you can't pull it back. It is infinitely harder to reverse damage than to avoid it in the first place. And this brings us to something that absolutely must be said plainly. Harry understands royal predators. He has spent his entire life manoeuvring around palace leaks, strategic briefings, tabloid traps, and orchestrated smear campaigns. But American media predators are a different species altogether. Kris Jenner is not Kensington Palace. She is not operating within a centuries-old system. She is a self-made tactician who built a billion-dollar empire by understanding attention better than anyone else. She knows how to manipulate public curiosity, how to stretch a 24-hour headline into a 10-day news cycle, and how to keep her family's relevancy at the center of all cultural conversation. And the moment Harry and Meghan walked into that party, they became part of her content strategy. She was proud, visibly, gleefully proud, to be hosting global royalty and global celebrity in the same room. Those photos were promotional gold. She knew their value. That's why they were posted immediately, pushed everywhere, elevated by every outlet. And when Meghan asked for them to come down, even better, because Chris also knows the golden rule of viral media: post, delete, panic, speculation, engagement, headlines, traffic. She got everything she wanted. The truth is, the optics of that party were problematic even before Harry and Meghan appeared in a single frame. People called it dystopian, tone-deaf, excessive, almost grotesquely disconnected from the real world. A Hunger Games capital scene dropped right into reality. The night was already being criticised for wealth worship and spectacle for spectacle's sake. And then Harry and Meghan show up, two figures who speak passionately about mental health, compassion, digital safety, ethical leadership, and suddenly they're photographed in the middle of a billionaire glam fest, surrounded by influencers and industry power players who embody the exact social media culture the Sussexes regularly critique. It made people question whether they're losing clarity, not because they did anything wrong, but because the people watching them expect alignment between their message and their social circles. And in today's hyper-scrutinized environment, even one off-brand moment can create chaos. And let's be absolutely honest with ourselves. Who is benefiting from this ongoing fiasco? Because it certainly isn't Harry and Meghan. Look at the coverage, look at the tone, look at the traction. The Kardashians are trending, their party is trending, their brand is sitting comfortably in global headlines. Harry and Meghan, meanwhile, are being roasted, mocked, second-guessed, and spun into narratives that do not serve them at all. This story is being squeezed dry for every ounce of engagement possible, and the Kardashians are the ones walking away smiling. Because controversy keeps them relevant, confusion keeps them talked about, chaos keeps the cameras rolling, and Harry and Meghan inadvertently gave them a global moment that the media isn't letting go of. But the deeper problem, the one that should concern every member of the Sussex squad, is how this whole situation exposes the brutal landscape Harry and Meghan are forced to navigate. There is a thriving industry built on monetizing negativity about them. Entire YouTube channels exist solely to insult them. Bloggers profit off misinformation about them. Tabloids rely on demonizing Meghan to sell papers. Networks produce entire specials aimed at undermining them. So when a questionable moment pops up, it becomes a feeding frenzy. Hundreds of videos, thousands of posts, tens of thousands of comments. And then you add the Kardashians, who already dominate digital traffic. It becomes a wildfire, a perfect storm of clout chasing, outrage monetization, and coordinated amplification. What makes this especially damaging is the contradiction it creates between Harry and Meghan's advocacy and the company they were photographed keeping. These are two people who speak loudly and consistently about the harms of social media, the dangers of algorithms, the manipulation of young users, the exploitation of mental health vulnerabilities. They have testified before governments. They have helped shape legislation. They have partnered with organizations fighting online toxicity. But then you see them casually laughing with some of the very same tech billionaires and media titans whose platforms and practices contribute directly to the problems the Sussexes want to solve. And yes, private friendships are allowed. Fun is allowed. Life is allowed. But optics matter. Alignment matters, consistency matters, especially when enemies are watching. And they always are. This is exactly why the Sussex squad has been urging them to be mindful about associations. They are not living normal lives. They are not operating in obscurity. They cannot make casual public appearances without the world interpreting it as a message. Their every move is politicized, monetized, weaponized. There are institutions hoping they fail. There are trolls praying they fail. And there are opportunists waiting to use them for attention. This is why their team must be sharper. Their advisors must be more protective. Their strategy must be airtight. Because the smallest misstep gets magnified into a global fiasco before they even wake up the next morning. And let's say this plainly, loudly, and without apology. Harry and Meghan can have friends. They can go to parties. They can celebrate. They can live their lives. No one is asking them to hide. No one is asking them to isolate. No one is asking them to be monks. But when your brand is tied to advocacy, authenticity and accountability, you must ensure every public appearance is aligned with that mission. Because misalignment doesn't just create confusion. It creates opportunity for people who want to undermine everything you stand for. And moments like this give ammunition to those waiting to twist the narrative into something that questions their integrity. Squaddies, I'm not angry. I'm not dragging them. I'm not disappointed in them as people. I'm looking at this like someone who genuinely wants them to thrive, who recognizes the scale of the opposition they face, and who understands the importance of protecting their message from distortion. They need to be more cautious. Their circle needs to be stronger. Their brand needs to be shielded. Because when Harry and Meghan stumble, even slightly, the world doesn't offer grace. It pounces, and it devours.